Welcome to Fast Fridays, presented by Maconi Setup Shop. Tonight, we'll be taking the Gen 4 clock car out to Michigan International Speedway, where we will take on NASCAR's fastest track. For those of you who haven't joined us before, Fast Fridays is a weekly series by Maconi Setup Shop, featuring a variety of different car and track combinations that is completely free to take part in. Yes, I said free, to come and race here in the broadcasted race. And remember, folks, you help decide the car and track combination every week by voting on Maconi Setup Shop social media pages, so be sure to go follow along and vote for what you want to see next. My name's Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is David Kreutz, with DJ Lyon working the controls as our producer, using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. David, these cars are going to be a handful for these drivers tonight here from the steep banks of Michigan as they battle their way around the qualifying session. What can we expect to see for these drivers in the Gen 4 car here tonight?
One of the fastest packages in all of stock car racing comes back to Brooklyn for an especially quick night. We're already seeing speeds in qualifying of over 200 miles an hour. At this 2-mile track, the laps will continue to fly by. Opened in 1968 with major revisions last seen in 1995, this circuit in Michigan has been a staple of high-speed stock car racing with high bank corners, 18 degrees, and a long sweeping trioval with a front stretch akin to that of Auto Club Speedway in Fontana. One of the bigger circuits, you do have to mind the throttle just a bit, but given the steep banking and the long layout, you'll see speeds of 200 miles an hour and above all throughout the night. 5 degrees of banking down the back stretch, 12 on the front as well, and 137,000 virtual fans in the stands as qualifying has concluded, and we're just about set to get going for our racing action here in Michigan. Qualifying grid has been set, Justin, so how's about we find out who started where to get things going on Fast Friday?
Yes, indeed. Let's look at your starting grid for tonight. 55 minutes, 60 laps the race. It's Nick Cooper who starts on the pole tonight. From Board of Outlaws Pro Racer, starts off as the only driver in the 37-second bracket. He'll be alongside Carter Casey. Brandon Evans starts alongside Daniel Monix, with Joey Misavage and Ryan Andrew amongst the top 6. Rounding our top 10 on the next page is Owen Kauser alongside Jonathan Ross. Philip York spent much of the practice session in the top 5. He starts top 10 alongside Glenn Stout Jr.
11th place will be occupied by Brent Pancari, with 12th place being held by Gavin McCool. The 13th place will be occupied by the number 30 of Jason Golan, with Kim Kraus right beside him. Gordon Spain will then be 15th, and it'll be Christopher Burgess in 16th. Eldridge George is going to be the 17th spot, and position number 18 goes to John Mullers, with 19th being sended Aaron Shiflett, and Jared Jackson rounds out the top 20.
21st starting spot goes to Ronnie Joyner. He'll start alongside Jeff McConey. Bradley Zinka starts off 23rd. Jeremiah Forbes starts 24th amongst those not setting times. Same said for Thomas Krinkenberger alongside Wally Limya. Braden Mulvick, amongst those who is up towards the top of the said slots, did not join session, so his spot in turns taken by Ryan Rose. And the rest of your starters continue to populate on screen. Keep in mind the grand total of drivers who took times 19 in qualifying, and in turn, more than 40 took part in final practice, 50 in turn at the max. We're just about getting set to go for tonight's action. Let's talk about the details. Just mentioned 60 laps, 55 minutes, whatever comes first here tonight. If necessary, there are 3 green-white checkered attempts. Keep in mind, there are unlimited tire sets for Fast Fridays here tonight. This is also a custom fixed setup provided by Maconi Setup Shop, and drivers do have 100% fuel as well throughout tonight's festivities. There is a fast repair available if necessary for drivers, so if there's any trouble for them, then get their car fixed in the early going. So with that being said, and knowing there's the time factor of just 55 minutes, not a lot of time per se to get up to the front here, David.
and only 120 miles. We're going 200 miles an hour each and every lap down the straightaways, high speeds, little time. So it's going to be more of a sprint if we have enough long runs in terms of getting the green flag. Now, on Fast Fridays before, we've seen getting oh so close to that final minute, we sometimes have time concerns. Looking now on board with Carter Casey's number 2, and on the high side, momentum very well in, of course, abundance, not only on the bottom, but on the top. And multi-groove racing will be a major factor all throughout the night. Expect to see drivers trying out different grooves as the race goes on. A lot of throwback schemes. There's one to Brian Keselowski in the number 92. That is Nick Cooper, who is not going to be starting up in front. It looks like now moving up to the front of the field. Number 35 machine on our end of timing and scoring having trouble, but the weather, it's going to be very fair. 74 degrees of air temperature and 76 on the track. Westbound winds up 10 miles an hour, and right now the field getting ready to roll. Carter Casey up top there 2 by 2, and with now the number 39 of Brandon Evans up in front, set to lead him to the green flag. Justin, let's get things rolling.
One driver already is done for the night. Nick Cooper, the original pole sitter, misses the start for tonight. Green flag is out. It's Carter Casey who's the control car, and we're already under caution. It's Jared Jackson who goes around at the back of the field, and we're already under yellow. That was with contact from a couple others. Maconi involved, Jeremiah Forbes also involved, and we're already under our first yellow, and we didn't even go about 10 feet.
And an immediate caution, and just before the drivers completely got by the start to finish line, trouble indeed. Looking now back at Jared Jackson, and you can see how spread out the field is coming to the green. Jackson gets hit on the way through, and it looks like he might have gotten a slower jump, maybe not grabbing a gear fast enough, and as a result, Jackson in the grass, Jeremiah Forbes involved, both of which are off the track right now. 24 drivers, after official calculation, took the green flag, so just under half the qualifying field, and near miss there as we now have Brandon Evans, your leader, and already trouble ensues 1 lap in. At the line for the first time tonight, Brandon Evans is your race leader, and we get a lot of time to figure out who's going to have the pace all night long. Didn't get really much of an indication, but a lot of drivers avoiding that first wreck. Hopefully we'll see more of the same and having cleaner racing from here on out.
Looks like a grand total of 24 drivers ended up taking the green flag. Of note, one of those scheduled to start the race was disqualified, Jason Golan, before we reached the green flag after crashing at the back of the field on the pace lap. That driver had several crashes in practice and qualifying as well, hence the quickness there. But outside of that point, the drivers are just trying to catch up to the pace car and regather up to resort the field, hence why the current stall here, and hence why this will take a few moments here at the racetrack. I'd like to remind you tonight's action brought to you by Maconi Setup Shop and by Maconi Entertainment. Maconi Setup Shop is the home for setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, event promotion, and more of the iRacing service. Subscriptions available as low as $8 a month. Once again, Maconi Setup Shop, the official setup shop of eNASCAR and the official series sponsor of the NASCAR C-Fixed Series. All the drivers are caught up to the pace car, and they have quickied the caution here, so it is a 1 to go mark on the pace car. So let's try this again, David. Now that things look to settle in here, let's see if we can settle in more than about a foot.
Well, now Brandon Evans knows he had the speed to get it off the line with Carter Casey. Brandon now has the official race lead, and right there with Carter Casey, going to be neck and neck. And you'll see now as the top 3 come through, Joey Misevich got up to the podium, Daniel Molnix is 4th, Holden Kauser is 5th. So a mix of regular drivers, and alongside them, a few guys we haven't seen all too much of. Carter Casey coming back for the first time since Chicagoland with the Xfinity Series, so we've seen him before. However, with the Gen 4 package, it's a bit different. High speeds, high horsepower, and now as the drivers pass by turns 3 and 4, Justin, it's about time to see whether or not we make it to our first green flag lap of the day. End of lap 2, first restart comes at lap number 3. Here we go again, and it's going to be the field in the hands of Carter Casey.
They go file for the restart here tonight. Green flag is out. We're underway once more, and we look to see how we settle in. I'm not sure if we're technically green or not. The drivers have the green, but the in-sim itself is saying caution.
And it looks to be another scoring yellow once again. Carter Casey got away, but we are seeing drivers still at full pace. A little bit confusing there, but it looks to be the green flag either way. 3 laps in, Carter Casey got a huge jump and now is backing down. So the yellow flag out once again. Looks like maybe Ronnie Joyner involved as a caution flies immediately once more. And we're looking further back now. Trouble once again as Jeff Maconi, Ronnie Joyner are now going to be catching back up the field. And we're going to find out what just caused this, because it looks like as soon as we got to the stripe once again, Carter Casey, he had the lead. However, it looks like a few other drivers had other plans. Look back to Jeff Maconi at the end of your screen there, and there we have it. Green flags out once again, and we're back on the way.
Well, that's a first. Apparently, the pace car knew it was green flag time. Apparently, Barney the flagman didn't get the command. That's the first time I think we've ever seen that there, where everyone had to go an extra lap around this track. Now we're officially under green. Now let's do some racing. Carter Casey off to a good start. The first battles for fifth. Hoyt Kelser taken off, sent 3 wide by Ryan Andrew, and Philip York licks the stamp and passes 2 cars.
And after a little bit of caution, confusion, there we go. Carter Casey got a huge jump, and as they all sort of reorganize themselves for the green flag, he does so once again. Going to be a fierce battle right now, riding on board with Philip York. He's side by side there with Andrew, as you mentioned, and you'll see he's on the low side right now, trying to make things work side by side across multiple grooves. Brandon Evans is going to be in the middle, is joining the Savage right up top, and drivers are beginning to experiment with what they've got to work with here. So many racing grooves, about 4 or 5 realistic lanes, so you can choose just about anywhere on the track and still be quick. Right now, Brian Andrews still fighting side by side and beating and banging just a bit to get things going.
2x2 starting to form up in the main packs. Keep in mind, many of these drivers, some of them really trying to get used to this car, others with varying levels of experience. You notice with Philip York, Bustos with some league experience, for example. He's amongst those with some real-world experience, too, at Lonesome Pine Raceway, being its 2020 Limited Late Model champ, and now he's in the wall. He spins down 1. With them in the collision this time is Brandon Evans. Another spin in separate contact. It's Hoyt Kelser, and that brings out the caution.
And I believe that Hoyt Kelser are the only one to have a full spin there. 2 great saves, but Cavs are going down to the infield retaining wall. That's the reason for the yellow. The Chevy Camaro looks to get actually back out of the situation. However, second caution in 7 laps here. We'll take a look back once again as trouble brews once more here in Michigan. With the yellow flag out once more, 7 laps out of 60. Carter Casey still leads, but he's seen his fair share of trouble so far.
Take a look at the 33 machine amongst those who continue to send it. Back in 22nd, and the reason looking at him, he was amongst those who was also a part of the slides, but was not part of the trigger for the caution per se. Technically, Kelser may have been a part of it on the bottom of the racetrack. The only thing that may have triggered it from that sequence may have been on the apron across the yellow line. Here's what more so would have caused it is this one. Right here, bye-bye back end. And he corrects right to Brandon Evans.
When Hoyt Kelser goes down low, he's fully out of control. So I think that is the difference there. We saw 2 drivers making contact. You saw Philip York, of course, especially close there with Brandon Evans. But they got back in control and still kept 4 tires and kept their noses ahead of the field. However, I think with Hoyt Kelser there getting involved, not to mention Aaron Shiflett, that's where it got dicey, and as such, caution flies again. Carter Casey, Glenn Stout, Gavin McCool, Bradley Znack, and Christopher Burgess. Those are the 5 drivers that stay out in terms of pit road strategy, and it looks like right now pit road going to be especially busy. John Muller's also opts to stay on the track, and right now you're also going to see, course, the number 47 in play with Carter Casey, and Casey, who has been the fastest driver all night long, opts to go for a different strategy. He'll stay out longer and see the rest of his competitors go through. Elridge George is going to be 7th, joining the Savage 8th. Ryan Andrew and Daniel Molnick's now in the top 10, and it looks like already, Justin, we are seeing some strategy calls being put into place, and with such a quick package and relatively fair temperatures, you're still going to see a lot of tire wear, and I think that's the main cause of this strategy stop.
And in turn, Philip York getting the EOL penalty, this caution as the cause of caution. And Ollinkauser, believe may or may not have just given themselves an unsafe pit exit. Not quite sure, since we've seen him across the yellow line. Of note, several drivers did get damage repairs, including Evans, Thomas Krickenberg. Shiflett also was back in 20th after repairs. Philip York and on with Jeffrey Maconi. Several more getting some repairs done in the midst of this caution period. Now, interesting enough, no drivers electing to take the two-tire call. A top-off on gas for the 40 of George is the most variance of those under the pit road situation. Keep in mind, we called Winsdale competition over the past year where, if you remember, David, one of the most common strategies with this car that we may see pop up later, people are not afraid to take two-tire calls at the end of green flag runs because of how it balances the car. Well, do we see that tonight, you think? Anybody risk it?
And that's a great point to mention. Gen 4 competition, a lot of drivers opt to go for different strategies from the norm. And if we call it back to Winston, one of the drivers in particular that stands out to me, Thomas Lewandowski. He's made some daring calls with these Gen 4. Sometimes you go for one less pit stop than the field. Sometimes you try to maybe go for one more. And similar race lengths when it comes to Winsdale and Fast Fridays. So only 60 laps. That's a very quick time span if it were to be all under green. So maybe a guy like Carter Casey right now, opting to stay out a bit longer, is going to try to go for a different strategy so as to have that advantage later on. Save your tires now, have more later, and in the case we have more late race cautions, which seems to be a trend in the Fast Friday competition, you'll have the advantage in the upper hand compared to almost the entire field who are starting to burn through some equipment, and that might not be to their advantage in the long run. Definitely will be now. It's Casey, Glenn Stout, and Gavin McCool. That is your top three coming to the green flag this time by. Here to hit the double digits. Time to get back to the racing action.
Just about all set for the restart. Now we are double file for this upcoming restart. Going up to the start of lap 10. Casey in control. Green flag is out. And a poor launch for Stout Jr. Everybody caught sleeping. They're already 3 wide of the heart of the pack. One driver, Joey Misevich, taking John Monar's 3 wide out the lane. And in turn, it's 2 and 3 wide of the pack, and the 6s in the wall.
And already going to be 3 wide racing here as we get this restart rolling. Carter Casey has the edge once again, but you're going to see drivers now slipping and sliding. One driver down to the apron, looks like make it 2 with Philip York, and they're once again oh so close with contact, and up the wall they'll go. Philip York collected. In addition, you're going to see Aaron Schickland, and they're all up in the wall. Yellow's out. Christopher Burgess, Jonathan Ross, Brandon Evans, and it is calamity as they go through corner number 3.
And you can see it coming in quickly there. Burgess amongst those up against the wall. Kim Kraus is the one on the side. What a crazy moment. All starting with Ronnie Jr. getting loose. Everything looks fine. Even with 4 wide, then contact, calamity.
And riding the wall right up to our cameras there, that's the number 99 machine in the mix. You're also going to see, of course, going right back up the track, Christopher Burgess. Take a look at that, landing right in front of another driver. John Mullars has to hit the brakes and, of course, knock the throttle all the way down. Yellow flag out for the 4th time so far. And once again, Carter Casey up in front. Going to be right back after a brief promotional break from our friends at Maconi Setup Shop. We'll return with all the action here in the virtual Michigan International Speedway. You're watching Fast Fridays exclusively on Maconi Entertainment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
welcome back. So far, the DNF list is 5 cars deep. And now it's the matter of seeing how everyone settles on in here. It's Casey, Stout Jr., Andrew, Zach McCool in the top 5. And so far, attrition's been pretty huge so far, David.
And it looks like already seeing some drivers bow out, and I'll tell you this much, 50 registered. We didn't expect to see so many races, of course, and of the 24 that took the green flag, already quite a few seeing trouble. Philip York is going to bow out after being involved in 2 consecutive cautions, and we initially expected to see more of those guys on new tires and make a jump up on the restart. The biggest gain was Ryan Andrew up to 3rd, but it's still Carter Casey holding his own as the iRacing official pace car is set to drop in this time by. And if we get, of course, more yellow flags, we could see Carter Casey retain that race lead. This is your 4th restart of the day. Grabbing a gear through the Geico restart zone. We're back on the move. Casey leads him, and another poor start from Glenn Stout leaves the entire field trailing back.
Oh, it's trouble. Turn 1. Glenn Stout Jr. spins around. And we're under yellow again. This time it's off the nose of Ryan Andrew in the jump through the gears. It almost looked like Glenn Stout Jr. had a bit of a stall going through the gear, and it caused the caution.
And we were saying a poor start for him, the restart prior. Now we're looking at it once again, and yes, it looks like he has a shifting issue there and just drops it down below Ryan Andrew, and Andrew just thinks he has enough pace to get by, has none of it. There goes the 47. It's going to be a huge drop down. Glenn Stout Jr. loses time, doesn't have much damage, but another immediate caution here, and 13 laps in, now going to lap 14. We've now ran just about half this race under caution, and yet again, set to get back going. Carter Casey retains the lead. Ryan Andrew involved in that wreck is 2nd, and Bradley Znack is now going to be in 3rd. But still, trouble brewing here as another restart sees another immediate problem. As they come through this time by, we're going to get back going, and we have a lot to talk about in regards to Michigan and the specific package we're looking at. Gen 4 stock cars as opposed to the modern stock car package. Definitely it looks different, and you'll see these are older looking bodies. However, the horsepower and what's under the hood is the major difference. Now, these drivers have an excess of 650 horsepower to work with all night long, which means unlike a cap of about 180 or 190 miles an hour you may see in current stock car competition, down the back straightaways with aerodynamic assistance, drivers will be going in excess of 205 miles an hour. However, of course, you got to keep in account if you got more power to work with, you got to work with the throttle more, which means these corners might actually be slower under about 170 miles an hour if not executed properly to account for the amount of power and not as much aerodynamic downforce as something like an open wheel vehicle in a of course, non-NASCAR competition. Right now, though, it looks like most drivers up in front have held their own well. Carter Casey, still your leader, about a quarter of the way through.
And remember, this package originally started off early on in this year by accident, technically, when it was during an iRacing update that this package was added to the Gen 4 cars, and there was such a positive reaction to it from the difference between this and the ARC Menards series package. This is technically also the ARC Menards car on the platform, that people in turn got their wish. iRacing made a separate classification for this car with this package, and in turn, yeah, budding communities from across the platform that in many cases, some of your top drivers in all of eNASCAR competition take part in this type of car because of how much driver intensive focus there is to be able to have to drive the car well. It takes a lot of skill to drive this car.
And a skill-based car, always challenging in regards to getting that perfect feel together. Carter Casey's had a perfect feel for it all night long, and now is set to lead us once again for restart number 5. However, new tires, Ryan Andrew right behind. Green flag's out once again. Andrew's going to be trailing back, but in no time, he's set to be right up there, fighting for the race lead, as the new tires should be the biggest advantage any driver's had all night long on taking down the mighty number 92.
Already 3 wide, starting to form up for third on back. Third on back didn't get a great launch. Brett Pancari makes a pass on McCool. Mullenix, one of the top drivers in final practice, takes it 3 wide with Joey Masevich to the inside. Already multiple different groups forming up, and now a big checkup. Gavin McCool having to back up and quickly to get out of the gas and get out of the 3 wide. Now everyone attacking Pancari. Top line, as you look at McCool's viewpoint, Mullenix, despite front nose damage, he's zipping by Carson quickly.
And Daniel Mullenix getting on the move in the fight for the 3rd position. Now we're looking at Gavin and McCool neck and neck there with Brent Pancari of First 4 Racing. It looks like Joey Masevich in the wall, slams it, but not going to involve another driver. Now Field is going to be flying by the number 9. Luckily, nobody gets involved there with Joey Masevich. He keeps it up in the top of the track. Jeff Maconi now going to be going way down low, and to the bottom side, the 0-3 machine would take it to avoid another driver seeing some struggles here. Evans remains high, and it looks like it's going to be some more trouble there for Joey Masevich. He'll have to come down to pit road. He's got a damage penalty, as we call it, the meatball flag, and as such, Joey Masevich further trouble here. He's got Jeff Maconi now right behind him.
Race control has waved the meatball flag, so good luck Joey Masevich on that call. Now spin down the back straightaway, nearly in the back grouping. Aaron Shiflett nearly sent it too far in the corner exit. We stay green. Taking a look at Maconi on company. Currently Jeff Maconi from 22nd to 8th in the race so far. He's your biggest mover, and he's marching through the field and quickly. Now he's under fire as he goes 3 wide. Gordon Spain trying to go inside.
And 3 wide here in Michigan, and as we expected, every part of this track, it can get quick. It's going to be up high for Jeff Maconi. In the middle, still Masevich fighting, but he'll have to back out of it, and he's going to wiggle once again. And as we see, Joey Masevich now struggling big time as he goes down the back straightaway, and one driver in the wall once again, Aaron Shiflett, and he sends it right up to the wall through turns 1 and 2. Aaron Shiflett's number 33 has big trouble, and now the fight for lead rages on as well. Andrew down to the bottom side. Carter Casey still up top, and they're neck and neck, 1/3 in.
Andrew trying to make the pass to the inside along the edge of the first seam. Still working up top is Carter Casey. Andrew has the better speed though. Ryan Andrew takes the race lead. Remember, he's amongst those on the fresh rubber. Use those 7-lap fresher tires to his advantage this time. And for Andrew, he's one of the top drivers with Maconi Esports. He's one of the top drivers as well in this year's Maconi Setup Shop C6 Series point standings. And it was a part of a comeback, essentially, in the standings to get himself to where he was and where he is currently to close out that official series schedule.
And right now, it looks like he closes out the deal and gets back up to the front of the board. Brent Pancari slightly in the wall, going to give way to another driver in Brandon Evans. Now we're riding on board with Gavin McCool's number 18 and flying down the stretch alone right now. Multiple drivers, single file, and now getting to grips with the long-term pace. Carter Casey going to be far away from Daniel Mullenix and company. However, it looks like Ryan Andrew has the pace, if not a bit more under the hood, to get by the 92, and as such, it's Andrew leading as Brandon Evans will now fight side by side with Gavin McCool, looking for what would be the 5th position. Gavin, the Skull Bandit, up top. Still going to be Brandon Evans way low, and it looks like they'll be neck and neck in the turn 1. If Gavin McCool has something to do about it, it looks like he's going to end up sliding back and lets Brandon have the turn.
And a good recovery for this race so far as Aaron Shiflett rejoins in the middle of the racetrack from the pit lane. That doesn't play too much of a factor. Also of note, Daniel Mullenix is closing into the race leaders. He's a 1/10 of a second quicker in the 13 car in sim. Now here's the thing when it comes to Mullenix. He is someone from the NSR Retro Cup. If you look towards websites like Sim Racer Hub, guess who's amongst the top 5 in multiple different types of racetracks with this car in qualifying and race pace? The car that's the quickest on the racetrack.
And Daniel Mullenix flying right now, not only going to be quicker than Carter Casey, who's now making back time to the race lead, but in addition, Ryan Andrew, he's going to have to keep out his eyes, of course, eyes peeled not only with the number 92 directly behind, but in addition, Daniel Mullenix, who is now quicker than the both of them, and Mullenix might have the long run pace that we didn't expect to see in the, of course, early stage of the laps that have gone by. We've now gotten into the groove past 10 laps or so, and with that being said, it looks like Molix and Carter Casey alike are laying down the law, as it's going to be Carter Casey right up to the top side once again. He'll take it down the backstretch neck and neck with Ryan Andrew, and they'll be side by side all over again now, and the old tires might just take the lead once more, and surprising to see Casey fight back. He's on an 8-lap older set of Goodyear rubber, which means 24 laps to Ryan Andrews 16, and even though Daniel Molix looks to be quicker with the younger set, for Ryan Andrew the advantage is wearing out.
Still side by side, Carter Casey, one of the veterans, working on the outside from Saturday Night Thunder, looking to bring the Thunder high side. Andrew still keeping things up inside. And so far, as we reach the halfway nearly on the lap distance in about 5 laps time, the more they race side by side like this, the more this is allowing Monex to really roll through and roll up to them. Monex, last time by, was about a couple of hundredths quicker than the leader, but also 2/10 quicker than the car on the outside in Casey.
And right now for Carter Casey, you mentioned Saturday Night Thunder. Now he took a step back in regards to racing this season on Saturdays and took the race control perspective throughout the entirety of Season 5. However, Michigan, one of the tracks he decided to stop by at under practice and qualifying conditions, and even though he's been out of the sim in regards to that series for just about a season's time, he was second quickest in qualifying and the quickest man in practice. And right now for the driver, the number 92, that practice and all the effort he's put in at Michigan looks to be showing once again. It's a bit of a different circumstance, of course, with a much higher horsepower package, but still in second, while Daniel Molix looks to round up the field. And with Molix now coming this time by, it's going to be 3 drivers fighting for one position at the stripe. It's Andrew with a 39.86 lap. Then it's going to be Carter Casey with a 40.08, and Daniel Molix, third place, 39.638. That time by, they're now separate by only half a second, and here we go again as they come down the back.
Looking to square things up, Casey, the military veteran, Andrew, the sim racing veteran. They work away around the first seam. Molix is not afraid to go below that seam, though, and that's a tricky line when it comes to Michigan, you have to think. It's technically a couple degrees less of banking down to the bottom of the racetrack. Molix seems to be the only one willing to dare to go underneath that first seam right now.
And it looks like now Daniel Molix, as you mentioned, finding some new groove on the circuit, and those differences are going to be what makes or breaks a run up in front. For Ryan Andrew, he's still holding on, but the pressure mounting, different drivers taking different lines. You see Carter Casey down to the bottom, Ryan Andrew goes early high, and it's going to be for Daniel Molix riding sort of in the middle of the two, and he'll still be there off the exit of turn 4. Looking now, Carter Casey's got a slight edge until they hit the, of course, middle portion of the tri-oval at the line. Ryan Andrew back on top, and that time by, actually, Daniel Molix loses about a 1/10 of a second.
Well, next now trying to ramp the top of the racetrack, though. And keep in mind, in the midst of all this, all 3 of these drivers, they've all started to drop pace as they're all within the draft of each other. As one driver in Brandon Evans is starting to reel them in as well. Outside of the chaos now in the back straightaway, though, because Gavin McCool just about scrapes all the paint off the right side of his race car. A few drivers are having some moments back here. There's also Christopher Burgess, who's in the grass. Remember, Burgess, amongst those in the incident prior, he just had a crash from 15th. We stay green. You see him coming out of the grass.
And that could have been another yellow flag. Now, luckily, Christopher looks to have held it out together just well enough to keep us moving under green. However, 30 laps out of 60, here's the instant replay, and you'll see down to the bottom of the track, came right back up, and nothing major until contact there, and he ends up sliding down to the grass once again and just about keeps it straight until nose first into the pit road wall. So bad news for Christopher Burgess, and the number 11 is going to be now limping around the track as the battle up in front continues, but a bit less so with Daniel Molnick's involved. It looks like despite the major disadvantage, Carter Casey has still been the man and finds himself running up high, trying to hold on to Ryan Andrews, give or take, led a majority of the laps in this battle. However, with that new tire advantage slowly but surely wearing off, it's only a matter of time until we get those pit stops, which will level the playing field once again. And that's when we wonder, does Ryan Andrew have the pace to keep on going? Because Casey's giving him a run for his money right now on older tires. If they're dead even, does he have enough? We'll find out as Carter Casey comes down in it and Ryan Andrew opts to stay out.
Pit window was open, it looks like, and Carter Casey is right now well below the speed limit, trying to get to the cone. In fact, he's over the limit right now. As a matter of fact, when he crossed that yellow cone, he was a good 20 plus miles an hour too quick. So the top driver for all race outside of Andrew now has a speeding penalty at the halfway point of this race. And that leaves these two up front.
And we'll see whether or not they deal with that in the same way as, of course, the damage penalty. But I think in terms of Carter Casey there, that's going to be a penalty that sticks. When you come down to pit road way too quick, not often will the admins be forgiving, because that's not a decision that you are out of control from. That was definitely something where the driver has to make sure that they have the discipline to make it in properly on time. So that's going to be the speed that matters the most, the perfect way in terms of direction. And it looks like the direction there not found well in terms of fighting for lead. Carter Casey goes one lap down, and just like that, it's going to be Ryan Andrew and Daniel Molnick going head to head from this point onward. Now riding up board with Holden Cowson, who is currently in the 4th position and trying to chase down Brandon Evans. This opens up the gate for a new battle for the podium as Carter Casey gets back out on the track, and just like that, on the move here, the fight for third rages on.
Meanwhile, we've had a crash on pit road, and remember the contact involving the 11. Remember the car that he came up back in front of. Guess which cars just had contact at the pit road entry? Would you be surprised to say that Thomas Krenkenberger has the faster pair and the 11 does not?
And it looks like consistent troubles between a pair of drivers in the back of the field. And you mentioned it. I don't think it's much a surprise, however, unfortunately. And it looks like the Gen 4 is giving these drivers a bit more trouble than most often. It's going to be another incident, this time on pit road. So pit road so far has been the make or break aspect of the night. And you'll see Carter Casey there. He's gunning with those new tires. And you can see how much quicker he is than Daniel Molnick. He's going to come down the back straightaway, get right by Ryan Andrew. However, this is not the battle for lead. It's not going to get Carter Casey back on the lead lap. He is 2 laps down as it stands, and now is going to go right by, blazing through the field. It's Ryan Andrew who's going to take that position and hold on to it. However, he's much slower on older tires, 27 laps of age. Meanwhile, Carter Casey just ran his first complete lap with this new set.
Molnick's trying to square things up here now that things are one-on-one for the time being. Keep in mind that as we reach 25 to go, normally the fuel run is around this 30-40 lap mark around this racetrack with this car package. These drivers are within a couple laps of that estimated window. Now, Brett Macari is amongst those who have stayed towards the front. As some expectations for him, he runs in various different numbers of cars. Usually, he has himself a sim racing camera that also has a movie store essentially behind him, and may or may not make sure the Spitfires are referenced several times. Caution flag is out. That's more important because the caution's on the back straightaway, and this changes a lot.
And it's a real big deal to keep in mind. It looks like now drivers dropping in a pit road. Looking at it, John Mullers is 3 laps down. Might not have been the cause there, but he just went down to pit road. So it could be John we're looking at, and there we are. Number 6 machine.
Remember, this is a pavement-covered apron. There's hard contact to the wall. And right here, he stomps on it and spins it out because he's close to the racing line and because, again, this is a paved apron that has a caution trigger on it here on iRacing. That's a caution. So in turn, That helps those who haven't pit yet. And now, expect a lot of pit stops here.
Now, this is going to change not only the pit stop cycle, but for the drivers who are one lap down right now, who are Gavin McCool, Joey Masevich, Gordon Spain, and last of which, Carter Casey. We might see those drivers get back on the lead lap, and Casey, who made that major mistake, knowing, of course, that pit strategy might have just thrown his chance to win out the window. Maybe there's going to be a light at the end of this tunnel here, as he might just have a shot to get back up there on the lead lap. This is the great equalizer with 23 laps remaining. We had ourselves a good long green flag run, but now with less than half this race left, we've got ourselves down to what could be the final stretch of laps, and Ryan Andrew, who's been holding off Daniel Momix all night long, will need to do so once again. This time, it's the race off pit road that will matter the most. Andrew goes in. He's coming in this time by first, and he'll lead them all down. Pit road gets busy. 23 laps remain.
So scheduled pit stops for the top 11: Andrew, Monix, Evans, Kelzer, Joyner, Pancari, Maconi, Snack, George, Limlaw, and Stout Jr. were all at the lead lap at the top of the caution. McCool gets the lucky dog. Wave arounds including Savage, Spain. Carter Casey did not take the wave around. He actually just pit. So that takes that out of the equation possibly for Casey. Hearing that Kelzer missed his pit stall, so he's already emphasizing frustration on the radio. The race off the pit lane, everyone taking 4 tires. A slow stop for Monix. In turn, Ryan Andrew wins the race off pit road over Monix. Then it's Evans, Pancari, and Kelzer, your top 5.
And you emphasize how slow that pit stop was for Daniel Molnix. Well, it might not look like that to the viewers. I mean, he still came out in second, but 14.4 seconds on the pit box for the both of them. Pit lane, Ryan Andrew was overall half a second quicker. And that's the difference a half a second can make. They were neck and neck in their pit stops in terms of being in the box. However, Andrew was quicker entering and exiting as a whole, and that can really determine whether or not you've got the ability to hold on to that lead. Right now, temperature about as fair as it's been all night long. It's 75 degrees Fahrenheit for our air, 77 for the track. So given the high speeds, it's gotten slightly warmer for the drivers. But right now, the pavement not burning just yet. Still in the double digits. We've seen in excess of 100 Fahrenheit before. But it looks like right now, very moderate temperatures for most drivers. And with 22 laps remaining and eventually the sun setting, we will see these temperatures retain at least their values for now. Maybe begin to drop as the race progresses. 39 laps in, Ryan Andrew holds on as your race leader. Carter Casey went down to pit road once again. He's 1 lap down, so we'll see whether or not that's going to change here as we all get in formation. 1 lap to go, and it looks like right now Casey's going to opt to stay 1 down, or that strategy call is the reason as a result.
Yeah, because he pit, he can't take the wave. So here's the play at this point for Casey, you'd have to think. I'm wondering if he's hoping for the quick caution here, hence the tire change, because it's only him and Krickenberger who are on the 1 lap down cycle. Whoever finishes ahead of the other essentially gets the lucky dog next caution. You get a caution immediately, you're on equal tires.
And that's right. And one thing to mention as well, well, we don't want to see this, but it is a possibility. Carter Casey could race aggressive here. He does have a faster pair in his back pocket, and when you're up in front, you don't often need one, so maybe we'll see a bit more of an aggressive side of these drivers as they want to fight their way back up into the front of the field. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case. However, if trouble were to ensue with the drivers still remaining in the back of the pack, we might see a faster pair to put into use, and that could also change the complexion from here on out. I don't think Ryan Andrew wants to see that number 92 get back with the leaders here. Casey's been quick, but now Ryan Andrew's chance to prove he's quicker is here and now. Pace car will drop in, and Ryan Andrew is set to be your control car.
Spot set to get back underway, coming up to 20 laps to go, this time by Ryan Andrew in control. The green flag waves, back rolling. Brandon Evans looking for second already. Monix, decent start from the outside. And already near contact, forcing Evans to check up as the rest of the pack goes 2 by 2.
And largely double file, Brandon Evans goes way up high, and as they come down the backstretch, it's going to be side by side at the very most. Nothing risky, still going to be a very solid double file back. It's now going to be Daniel Molix, though, going down to the lower side, and this is the closest he's been to the race lead all night long. Molix is going to be close, doesn't have enough through the corner for Ryan Andrew, and now the 88 is dropping back. Daniel Molix, new race leader, and he takes it at the stripe here to move on with 19 laps remaining. Daniel Molix will lead, Ryan Andrew will be second, and Brandon Evans then will be third. Now you're going to be looking back here at the 00 machine of Ronnie Joyner, and it's going to be Ronnie now running in seventh as he just got by Bradley Znak. He's going to be looking for the boss in Jeff Maconi. Two drivers wiggle, and it's going to be nearly contact once again. Luckily for Gavin McCool and Wally Limlaw, nothing major comes of it here as Brandon Evans has to slide a bit further back himself.
That was George making contact with the wall. One of the two Evernham Motorsports paint schemes now dropping to the back. We stay green for the time being. Up at the front, though, Molnix trying to hold off the train. Here's a look at Ronnie Joyner, looking to go inside of the boss man. Jeff Maconi just about knocks the wall down as Joyner able to zip on by and make the grip stick as Maconi tries to gather some back up.
And very close there for Jeff Maconi. Almost looked like he'd have some contact. Luckily, he's going to keep it clean there with Bradley Znak right by him. And now they're going to be neck and neck going into 3 and 4. Once again, Maconi going to have some pressure, but he's going to be able to pull through and just barely get the spot right back. Daniel Molnix now beginning to pull away from your leaders behind. Brandon Evans is now going to be looking for second. Evans goes down low. Hohenkauser has trouble, saves it on the apron, and keeps things going. Very nice save for Hohenkauser. He's going to try to get back at full speed, but loses a lot of spots on the way there. Just like that, backstretch, he's still going to be all right.
Had some contact from behind. Hohenkauser did by Joyner. That's the reason for that loose moment. And Joyner pretty much making it clear, not afraid to drive forward and drive quickly. Keep in mind, we're already seeing this early in the going. The draft effect seems to be pretty strong. And that's why these drivers are trying to make sure they stay in the draft if they can't get the pass down. And we've seen that with Joyner.
And right now, the draft is pulling 4 drivers in particular away. Daniel Molnix has the lead, but Brandon Evans is coming in hot lap after lap. Yellow flag out.
It's Kauser again. The 04 this time, it's on his own. He was up in 7th position and got mighty loose through 1 and 2, and he spun around just right by your lucky dog tube. He got hit by several other cars, though.
And taking a look back, Hohenkauser there in that 04. He begins to get loose at the exit of corner 2 and comes right back up. Looks like Bradley Znak is going to get a piece. Then Brandon Evans gets a huge lick. And not to mention Gavin McCool also going to send that 04 spinning like a top. And just like that, 15 laps remain. Carter Casey's your lucky dog. Pit road might just become busy again. As with 15 laps left, now time to find out whether or not there's any other pieces to the strategic puzzle that have yet to be pieced together.
Here's a look from Gavin McCool. Bam. And for McCool, that's a meatball flag with the hard contact to the motor. Believe it or not, that is not a meatball flag for the 04.
And a huge hit for Hohenkauser, but I think the location's what matters there. He's got enough in the engine to maybe keep on going, but otherwise it's going to be a big trouble for the remainder of the night, especially in regards to aerodynamics. 15 laps to go this time by, and as we come back with the remainder of this race ahead of us, you're watching Fast Fridays exclusively on Maconi Entertainment, and we'll return after this message.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Welcome once again to Brooklyn, Michigan for more coverage of Fast Fridays presented by Maconi Setup Shop as we reach the final few moments here for the Gen 4 cars at Michigan. Joseph Prince, David Kreutz, along with TJ Line producing as we get set for the run towards the finish. It's Daniel Monix up at front, Brent Pancari also electing to stay out, along with Brandon Evans this caution period, rather should say Ulrich George. It's Evans who's the first on fresh tires. Just 3 drivers electing to stay out for the track position. 2 were already in the lead pack. Is this going to be a workable strategy, or rather the strategy that works with just 3 staying out here, David?
And that's going to be a big question now. Earlier in the race, someone like Carter Casey tried to make it happen, had long-run success, but we are seeing these sprint mentalities come into play with only a dozen green flag laps ahead of us for Monix, Pancari, and Evans. As they can keep together up in front, it'll be better than nothing, but if they get isolated and spread each other apart, that's when it becomes dicey. If you don't have your birds of a feather around you, you can't really make a strategy work, and with the remainder of the field going all the way back down to Carter Casey and Glenn Stout on the exact same strategy, it might not be the way to go here, but that remains to be seen as the pace car will drop in once again.
We'll have laps to go when the green flag flies. Green flag's back out. Monix with a great launch. And a poor launch up on the outside. A slow one from Pancari. A lot of tire spin from George. Here comes Ryan Andrew, 3 wide as he looks to go back up front.
And already Ryan Andrew going to be charging hard on the bottom side. Jeff Maconi making some moves. And 3 wide once again as they're going to come down the backstretch. Everyone back on new tires. Aggression with Carter Casey down by the apron. And he's looking to make some moves as you'll see one driver going spinning. Already going to be troubling Gordon Spain. Gordon drops back big. No yellow flag will fly for him just yet as he's going to get back on the track and keep it all straight. Could have been much worse there for Gordon Spain.
4. Caution. Holy Cowser gets spun around and slammed up. That's contact with Ulrich George. And a quickie caution called for. Limlaw also hard damage from it to the 49. And we're back under yellow as Hohenhauser, back-to-back yellows involved in here. This time, it's the 40 that gets absolutely squished.
And you can see there, too little racing room for too many drivers. Hohenhauser gets hooked up, and that's all she wrote. Immediately pummeling the 3 drivers in a pair. And just like that, Hohenhauser, Ulrich George, looked like Gordon Spain was involved in his own incident, too. So multiple incidents at the same time with 11 laps to go. Daniel Monix leads. Carter Casey jumped up big. He's now up into 8th, so we might see some old rivals begin to race each other once again. Monix and Andrew have that track position, and they've been the classes of the field all throughout. Now we got a little time here, so we're going to bring up a special friend of the broadcast booth, and we'll have him here to talk with Justin. Jeff Maconi with us here, so Justin, take it away.
Yes, indeed, and Jeff, you're amongst those up in the top 6. Make it the top 5, in fact. How are you feeling as one of the biggest, if not the biggest mover of the night?
Scared. Very scared. We're gonna go with, we're 1 to green right now, so we're single file. I was kind of hoping that we would run like 5 more laps than we did, and I was gonna come down and take 2, but I think my bet is sort of made now, so I'm just gonna lick the stamp and send it and see if I can't get a top 5 out of it. Maybe I got something for Ronnie, and maybe Daniel's tires will fall off and I can scam a top 3 out of it, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to get around Brandon and Ryan. I think Brandon's gonna take it home in the end, truth be told.
It's been an interesting race so far. How has it been trying to get yourself through this field?
Well, it started off, I got absolutely clobbered by a guy who didn't, like, they all checked up on the start, and I went low, and this guy just tried to blow right by me, and then he clobbered the guy in front of me, and then that did 1.5 minutes of damage. So it's been a time. I'm just happy I've survived to this point, and hopefully can survive to the end and bring it home with a half-decent finish.
All right, we're about to restart, it looks like here. It looks like it's a single file restart as well, so make sure you don't knock over the mailbox while sending it.
Okay, that sounds good to me. We're a half mile back. I don't know why we're not catching up. There we go. All right.
There goes Jeff Maconi, right back to his team as they look to stack up for the restart. An early launch for Monix for the green flag, and back underway we go. Time could be a factor here. We'll see how many laps they're given. Time could be interesting, David. We're about 53 minutes in, give or take.
Now you're saying 53 minutes, which means we might have, give or take, 5 minutes of the absolute maximum to work with, given that the gridding time has been excluded for our overall calculations. Down low, Daniel Molnix is going to take it to breakaway just a bit. Carter Casey trying to make some moves, but now the biggest movers, Ronnie Joyner on the bottom side. Ronnie's looking low. He's got Brandon Evans right to his top side, and it's going to be 2 by 2 for the third place here, as you'll see now, neck and neck at the line. Molnix leads, and Ryan Andrew not giving him much a fight to this point.
Here's the current situation. 5 minutes of time left. That's enough to get to about the exact distance remaining. About 7.5 laps to go, in fact. So if there's another caution, we likely finish on time, as in the time clock. So that's going to be something to keep in mind here the rest of the way. It's side by side for the third, meanwhile. Brandon Evans alongside Ronnie Joyner. And Joyner showing some of the most improvement all race, going from some early spins and slide to the big one. Now looking to hold on for third on the inside.
And we looked at someone else trying to hold on. Jeff Maconi wiggles big as Carter Casey gets by him for fifth. It's going to be bundles of battles now with Ryan Andrew looking down low. Ryan takes it down to the bottom side. He's got Daniel Molnix up top. Ronnie Joyner sliding and keeps it together. Almost loses it all at the same time. Fantastic job to keep it saved. But now Carter Casey gets fourth, and immediately now we see another change for position. Ryan Andrew regroups himself and has to keep fighting for the race lead. But right now it's all Daniel Molnix with just about less than 4 minutes to spare. 7 laps to go, coming to 6.
It's going to be very tight, to say the very least. Can Monix hold off the fresher tires of Andrew? Brandon Evans looking to do the same. Carter Casey is the fastest car on the racetrack and is within 7 car lengths of the main group. Andrew trying to set it up. He's got the draft. No block coming from Monix. Evans elects to keep up with the draft. Side by side for the lead. Andrew trying to push up the 12 on track. There goes Andrew now with the nose up in front. He's got some help from Brandon Evans.
Now it's going to be all about whether or not Brandon Evans chooses to go high or chooses to go low. Now he'll work with Ryan Andrew to give a bit more momentum to that bottom side. And McCarter Casey still coming. Thomas Quickenberger in trouble. It's going to be 3 wide, sending it down low. Brandon Evans to the bottom. They're neck and neck and neck, and Andrew gets hooked. Yellow flag due to fly, and it's Ryan Andrew destroyed with 5 laps remaining.
And that was the major fear with how close they were racing. 1 slip up, 1 car turned around. It's Brandon Evans up in the race lead with only 2 minutes and 35 seconds on the clock. Now how does this go? This race is going to come down to time. Carter Casey now in the conversation. Here's the replay.
As you can see there, Andrew roughing up with Daniel Molix, and just too many instances of slight contact. Eventually, the quarter panel gets hooked in and hooked up. And just like that, Ryan Andrew will meet his fate as the motor blew. He might be able to get back out there on the track, given he's had no fast repair used beforehand. However, so much track position to come back from in 2 minutes. If we have any chance of getting back under green, I think we're going to see a short yellow flag, and we're seeing now less than 2 minutes flat. This will not come down to laps. It will come down to time. With a caution out right now, especially unexpected to see what we're getting here. So we might just have ourselves a green-white checkered finish to finish off the night, which means in terms of iRacing timing procedure, it will be determined not by the session time of 60 laps, but by whenever the clock hits 0, that will be your final lap. So Justin, we're hitting newfound territory. We are hitting the final moments of this race. You think we're going to see a little bit more to find out who's got the win?
Based on the amount of time, remember, it's been about a minute or so per pace lap. They've already indicated they'll try and get the start in to finish under green. We might see a one-lap shootout based on the time here, actually, David. And that could be absolutely crazy because, remember, Monex made the pass for the race lead for his first time up front fully on a restart down the backstretch.
And this is jeopardy. 50 seconds, and we have 1 more pace lap left. But I don't think we are going to get to the green flag the way things are looking. Unless the drivers get an early launch on the restart, it's going to be a 1-lap restart at the very most. Here's the iRacing timing procedure. The clock hits 0. That's the final lap, no matter what. We are 30 seconds away from the potential of going back green. Right now, they have to get down through the backstretch, through turns 3 and 4, and that will determine your winner. Right now, Brandon Evans is up in front. I don't think we're going to see the green flag here. They're coming down the backstretch. The time is going to run out. iRacing will give us the signal. But as you can see, yellow flag is due to expire. I think we're going to see a drag race, much less a green-white checkered. There it is. Time has run out. Barney the flagman will tell all at once, and I think if we looked at Barney right now, he'll have the yellow flag in hand. I think he's going to switch it immediately to waving the checkered. They're coming by this time through, and here we go again, potentially for the final time.
Here's the command from race control. They're just going to run it. They are going to run it. Up to the green. Brandon Evans, a good launch. Carter Casey battles for second. 0's up on the clock. What will happen once they get around to the other side of the racetrack is the question. Monex stays on the squeeze. Casey tries on the inside. Brandon Evans looks to run away. And a big crash up in the back. With no caution to freeze the field, this is the race to the end. Brandon Evans makes his way through 3 and 4. He quietly was in the conversation all night. He keeps it the cleanest at the very end. Coming down the final stretch, checker flag getting ready to wave coming up here. It's Brandon Evans who gets it over Monex. Carter Casey rounds out the top 3.
And they did make it to lap 60. That will be it. Checkered flag will fly 1 lap early. Brandon Evans gets it done, and he had that pace late when it mattered. Got by Monex, got by Ryan Andrew, and despite the chaos, Brandon Evans will hold on and make it happen here in Michigan.
It looks like they're still trying to run it another lap here. Here's the thing, half the field is not going, half the field is going. Some have run out of gas. And regardless, Brandon Evans got it regardless. So, regardless of if there was an extra lap there, he's got it, and several others did not get the same memo.
And just like that, now it's going to be confusion whether or not the drivers are going to all mutually agree that was a counted lap, because that's not going to count on scoring. I don't think it's going to change in regards to the order, because Brandon Evans still did win that race, so we'll see what the call is. Now, we got our results here. Brandon Evans set to be your scoring winner, Molnick second, and Carter Casey in third. The rest of the field still to be determined, of course. Provisional results, it's Joey Misevich fourth, Ronnie Joyner fifth, Gavin McCool 6th, Glenn Stout Jr. 7th, and 8th, pulling counter. Jeff Maconi's ninth, and Gordon Spain concludes the top 10.
A confusing finish here, a wild night to say the least. Brett Pancari, Bradley Znack, Andrew Krinkenberger, George Limlaw, Molinares, then Burgess, Shifwood, and Ross amongst those in the top 20 tonight. The rest of your starters included Kim Kraus, Phil York, Jared Jackson, Jeremiah Forbis in this one. That's a look top to bottom at tonight's run. You see all the others who took part in final practice here tonight here on Maconi Entertainment. An interesting finish in this one. Take a moment. Post-race coverage coming up in just a moment. You're watching Maconi Entertainment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the very much quintessential finish of this race. And, well, Joey Masevich and Jeffrey Maconi are having some fun, aren't they? Well, post-race coverage about to get underway. By the way, these are the cars that finished 4th and 9th, respectively. I am not sure how they managed this. All I can say is, well, at least they're having fun. Let's talk with the third place finisher. He's with David. It's Carter Casey.
Carter Casey has shown a lot of speed tonight. He saw, of course, top 2 in qualifying, a 3rd place finish overall, and bouncing back from some pit road strategy troubles, you pull it through for another podium finish. 3rd place tonight, how you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good. That was a lot of fun out there. I was running a really good race with the guys up front. Just trying to move around there, that early stint there, trying to run the top, and you could run the top, keep the throttle in it, and keep the tires under you. If you run middle to bottom, you really had to feather the throttle, and it's faster down there, but if you make one mistake on the throttle, you're getting loose. So just shifting around a little bit, and then I tried something different with the pit road entry, with the strategy really, and then I felt like I went into the pit road entry a little too shallow, so then I throttled up, and I did not realize it was going to go that fast in the pit road entry. So wanted to get on the brakes, but I couldn't get on it too hard, or else I'd spin out in the pit road. So I just kind of had to take the L and take the speeding penalty there. And good bounce back though. That was a lot of fun racing with these guys. Always love the Gen 4 cars. Always love these things. That was a blast.
High horsepower, high speed. It's a very tricky car to master, but we saw even with the older tires in the earlier runs, you had the upper hand on guys like Ryan Andrew who were racing you just about lap for lap at the same speed. Big trouble, of course, in terms of the pit strategy later on, but you had speed that definitely could have ran with them no matter what. What was your big secret in keeping that speed even with a bit more tire age?
I think I mean, there's some of it's hard to kind of explain, but I think the easiest thing to kind of reference is when you're crossing over those seams in these Gen 4 cars. When you cross over a seam, you have to go if you feel comfortable finally at 100% throttle. But if you're going up the track, you need to burp it to about 90, 85 as you're crossing over those seams, or else it'll just buckle up from underneath you. Just trying not to spin the tires. So understanding the seams will get you loose, what lines will get you loose, and just rolling the top when you need to, and not getting pinched down too low. So if somebody's running middle and you try and pass them on the bottom, you're gonna scrub a lot of speed off. So just trying to switch up the lines, and I was really hoping. I think it was that last caution. Those leaders were going at it. It was like 3 wide or whatever was going on up there, and I was hoping it would stay green because I felt like with them slowing each other down, I could have gotten the run I needed to clear them. But it's just the luck of the draw. But I had a lot of fun.
And commitment is key here for Carter Casey, rounding out her podium exclusively on Fast Fridays. And some high horsepower fun brings this number 92 crew back to the top 3. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And Carter Casey on the move. We'll send it back to Justin here as our race winner, Brandon Evans, is standing by. Justin is with our winning man.
Yes, indeed. And Brandon, you got it done here tonight. As a matter of fact, your boss man, Jeff Maconi, even with Ryan Andrew, was one of the top contenders. Seeing you as the potential winner for tonight, how would you describe that run to the finish?
Yeah, I knew me and Ryan were both with the tire strategy and stuff. Those guys stayed out. I knew we were going to need it there at the end. I didn't expect them to get together, but I knew that with Daniel having the older tires that I was going to have to use every opportunity I could when they start to race to make a move. And so I just took them low, and they got together, unfortunately, and stayed in the front and drove it home.
We're talking about how tonight seemed to be, if you were amongst those to keep it clean, you're likely to be amongst one of the contenders in the end. You kept it clean throughout the night. How would you describe in turn that combination that we just had with the Gen 4 cars here at Michigan and the difficulty of keeping it clean with how many drivers clobbered some of these walls? Even Daniel Molnix had a dent on his front nose the whole race.
Yeah, the risk versus reward of this car, right? How you want to drive it. If you drive it super hard, yeah, you can make good lap time, but you run the risk of wiping out. You know, given it's only 60 laps and there was a bunch of cautions, it's hard to plan for a long run. That was my goal, as it usually always is. But you know, the chaos and guys running side by side, sliding up into each other, potentially not understanding, you know, where the racing line is for this car, with all the horsepower. You know, you could have a really tight entry, because you're going, you know, 200 plus into the corner. But then, you know, you're going to have to be mindful of how you enter the corner, whether you brake or let off earlier, so that way you don't, you know, get back on the gas and spin out, because that seemed what was the trouble for some of the guys out there.
So in turn, as Fast Fridays comes to a close here today, how are you feeling in terms of the final few runs of this year, especially knowing the new build's coming up next week? How are you looking forward to the new build here on iRacing?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I don't know. I mean, right now we build setups based on how the tires wear. There's not, for me, I don't have any experience with, well, how do you build a car with tire wear and with, you know, the rubber being put down on the track and how the cars are going to drive. So it'll be interesting. I look forward to it. It'll be a fun challenge, and you know, hopefully we can keep speed and have a good time doing it.
Well, congratulations once again on the run tonight here, Brendan.
Thank you.
That's Brandon Evans coming away with a solid run here tonight as the winner. I'd like to thank him and Carter Case for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on Fast Fridays, presented by Maconi Setup Shop. Your final thoughts on how tonight played out here, David, as we come to a close here for Michigan. How do you think tonight fared up from your perspective?
And tonight, when it came down to how we all got through these 60 laps of fun, of course we were expecting to see some high-speed racing mixed in with the attrition, but for the drivers who did stick around, it was impressive to see that level of control amidst the pressure, high level of talent up there. You saw guys like Ryan Andrew, Carter Casey, Daniel Molnix, and especially your winner, Brandon Evans, understanding the tires, the way the strategy played out, and keeping that speed all throughout. It's tricky here in Michigan. It might be a very quick track, but it's difficult to be consistently as quick as possible. So for those competitors who kept it up in front with speed and patience, that's where the magic of Michigan really came into play. I think that's the most important piece to take away as we move on to one of our final races of Fast Fridays of 2023. As you mentioned, the final few runs just ahead of us.
And we'd like to thank you for watching along for tonight, as well as tonight's race sponsors, Maconi Setup Shop and Maconi Competition. Coming to action tonight with myself, Justin Prince, alongside David Kreutz in the booth with DJ Line producing. I'd like to thank all our viewers for watching tonight's racing action, and we hope you stay tuned to our social media pages for our next Fast Fridays race. And don't forget to tune in every Monday during the official iRacing seasons for our C-Fix Truck Series coverage. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment. We'll see you once more in the future. Good night from Michigan.